Hi, you're watching WION World is One. I am Isha Hanspal and this is Speed News. First up, news coming in from Japan, and with that we start our bulletin today. A tsunami has struck the country's western coast. Prior to landfall, an evacuation advisory was issued across the coast. This tsunami comes in the wake of an earthquake of magnitude 7.4 in Ishikawa's Noto region. Footage of massive fissures in arterial roads and highways are being circulated on Japanese social media. Reports of a major fire having broken out in the city of Wijima in Ishikawa are also coming in. Waves are reported to be as high as 5 meters. Authorities have reported no abnormalities at nuclear plants in the region following the quake. However, the evacuation order remains active, with the advisory warning citizens to move to higher ground immediately. The Chinese Antarctic research vessel Zhuilong, which is carrying out China's 40th Antarctic expedition, has arrived at China's Great Wall Station on King George Island in the southwest Antarctic. Now, during its stay at the port, Zhuilong too will carry out a comprehensive investigation and monitoring of biological ecology. The Indian Space Agency, or ISRO, has successfully launched the PSLV C-58 mission of X-ray polarimeter satellite, or XPOSat. XPOSat was launched into an eastward low-inclination orbit at 9:10 a.m. local time today. The satellite has been launched from the Satish Dhawan Space Center in Sriharikota, located in the state of Andhra Pradesh, after it received a green light from the mission's director. The mission will be studying the 50 brightest known sources in the universe. ISRO has become the second space agency after NASA to send a specialized astronomy observatory to study black holes and neutron stars in our galaxy. As the war in Ukraine enters its third year, Russian shelling has killed 5 people in Ukraine's southern Odessa region and the eastern city of Donetsk. Now, this comes after Kyiv said that it destroyed 21 of 49 Iranian-made drones fired from the Russian side. 6 guided missiles had also been targeted in the northern city of Kharkiv. Russia said that it attacked military facilities in the Ukrainian city of Kharkiv overnight, including a hotel housing military commanders and foreign mercenaries. Russia vowed to retaliate for what it called a terrorist attack on a border city that left 24 people dead. Residents of Belgorod in Russia laid flowers to remember the 24 people killed in Ukraine's attack on the Russian city on Saturday. Residents placed toys at memorials after Russia's health ministry confirmed that 4 children died in the attack. More than 130 people were injured, 25 of them critically, and were transferred to clinics in Moscow. There was no official comment from Kyiv in the hours after the attack on Belgorod. Russia retaliated on Sunday by attacking the Ukrainian city of Kharkiv overnight. Families and friends of Ukrainian prisoners of war staged a protest at Kyiv city center calling for their release. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on December 19th that a recent slowdown in prisoner swaps with Moscow was due to unspecified reasons on the Russian side, but expressed hope that the swaps could resume soon. The two sides held a number of prisoner swaps from the early months of Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February of 2022 and into 2023. But their frequency slowed, and the last one took place in early August. Zelensky said that Ukraine was currently working on an exchange plan. Meanwhile, in West Asia, as the clock ticked past midnight on New Year's Eve, rockets fired from Gaza rained down on central Israel. The attack ignited sirens throughout the central and southern parts of the country. Hamas's armed wing has claimed that the attack was in response to massacres against citizens in Gaza. Now, this after Israeli jets launched an intensive offensive against central Israel. In response, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared that the war would take many more months to end. A Palestinian assailant has been reported dead after allegedly stabbing and wounding two people near an Israeli settlement at West Bank on Sunday. Israeli police and emergency services have claimed the incident was a ramming attack and did not say how the man died. The police said they fired at the man after he tried to drive his vehicle at them in what they described as a ramming attack. While the IDF has not confirmed the assailant's death, the Palestinian Health Ministry identified the man as Mohammed Masalma, reporting that he was killed in the exchange. Israel's finance minister has called for the return of Jewish settlers to the Gaza Strip after the war. In his controversial statement, the minister said that the Palestinian population should be encouraged to emigrate from the Strip following the end of the current phase of this conflict. While maintaining almost total control over the territory's borders, Israel ended its presence inside Gaza in 2005, when it unilaterally withdrew the last of its troops and settlers. The Israeli presence inside Gaza had started in the year 1967. All settlements on occupied Palestinian land are deemed illegal under international law. In Tel Aviv, protesters marked New Year's Eve on Sunday with a gathering in front of Israel's Defense Ministry compound, calling for measures to secure the release of hostages still held captive in Gaza. The group blocked the gate to the compound and officials' vehicles, including one of David Barnea, the head of Israel's Mossad intelligence service. They asked him for updates on steps taken for the release of their loved ones, who were still in Hamas's captivity. Some buildings, including Israel's parliament, Knesset, were seen lighting up in yellow, a symbol of hope for safe return of hostages. Yemen's Houthi militant movement has claimed that 10 of their naval personnel were killed and were missing after 3 of their boats were attacked by US forces in the Red Sea. The group's military spokeswoman, Yahya Saria, said US Navy personnel attacked 3 boats belonging to the Yemeni naval forces. Saria said the Houthis had carried out a missile attack on the Maersk's Huangzhou container vessel earlier, after its crew refused to heed warning calls. Democratic Republic of Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi has been re-elected for a second term. He has won more than 73% of the votes in this month's presidential election. The country's election commission declared Tshisekedi the winner with over 13 million votes out of 18 million valid votes. As per reports, turnout in the election reached over 43%. Celebrating crowds filled the streets of the capital of Kinshasa. The end of the year 2023 also marked the end of an era for Denmark's Queen Margrethe II, the longest-serving monarch of Europe following the death of Britain's Queen Elizabeth II, announced her surprise abdication on live television on the New Year's Eve. She is now leaving the throne to her son, Crown Prince Frederik. The 83-year-old took over the throne from her father in 1972. In July, she became the longest-sitting monarch in Denmark's history. Now, this after a constitutional amendment allowed women to inherit the throne. Her abdication comes on ground of understanding that the medical implications following her back surgery. Spain conducted a rescue of 18 migrants off the coast of the Canary Islands on Sunday. Among the 18 migrants Spain rescued by helicopter, 3 of them were dead. Spain's Coast Guard took the 15 survivors to La Restinga port in El Hierro, the island with the highest number of arrivals in 2023. Another group of 99 migrants was rescued overnight and brought to El Hierro. Pope Francis on Sunday said the city of Rome must improve its basic services for residents and visitors before the start of the 2025 Holy Year that is expected to draw tens of millions of pilgrims. Francis made his comments at the Vatican's traditional year-end Vespers of Thanksgiving, known as the Te Deum, about 6 hours before the start of the New Year's. Rome hosts a holy year, also known as a Jubilee year, at least every 25 years. Pilgrims flock to the city to pray at its many holy sites and receive special blessings. Well, the visuals of New Year's celebrations have been flooding in from around the world. Take a look at this. And in the midst of all that, Berlin welcomed the new year with fireworks over the German capital's landmark, the Brandenburg Gate, where tens of thousands of people celebrated the beginning of 2024. Up to 65,000 people gathered on the 17th Juni Boulevard on the western side of the gate, which once separated the East and the West Berlin, until the fall of the Berlin Wall in November of 1989. Ticketed visitors were given access to a closed-off area stretching over 1.9 kilometers from Brandenburg Gate to the Victory Column Monument. Hundreds of thousands of people, including tourists from around the world, welcomed the New Year on the Champs-Élysées in Paris. The French ushered in the year of the Paris Olympic Games with a giant celebration, leading up to the traditional fireworks display over the Arc de Triomphe revelers. Well, they said they wished peace for New Year as they danced and waited to witness the show at midnight. The festivities took place under tight security, put in place by French authorities, with around 90,000 police personnel deployed across the country. A dazzling fireworks spectacle lit up Rio de Janeiro's Copacabana beach, where almost 2 million revelers welcomed the New Year's. The New Year's Eve revelers and tourists gathered on Copacabana beach to enjoy the 12-minute spectacular and iconic fireworks display. A light and color show was performed to the sound of a live orchestra. Locals and tourists were in for a treat as the night sky across the beach was lit up in multiple colors. Meanwhile, in other news, 2 months after being devastated by the deadly Hurricane Otis, tourists have gradually returned to the Mexican city of Acapulco for New Year's Eve. Despite efforts to rebuild the city, several beaches looked empty and a small percentage of hotels have only partially recovered their infrastructure. Now, Otis, the strongest hurricane to ever hit Mexico's Pacific coast, hammered Acapulco in the early hours of October. Well, this was on October 25th, killing at least 50 people, causing billions of dollars in damage and sparking widespread looting. Business groups have estimated the damage at around $16 billion in Acapulco, which is the biggest city in Guerrero, one of Mexico's poorest states. Giant waves and choppy waters in coastal California over the weekend prompted evacuation orders amid fears of flooding. In Manhattan Beach, the pier remained closed on Saturday evening as waves as high as 20 feet slammed into the shoreline. Residents in coastal communities were warned to stay off beaches and coastal roadways. The National Weather Service in Los Angeles forecasts significant flooding in the low-lying coastal areas, with powerful waves and strong rip current posing an exceptional risk of drowning and damage to structures like piers and jetties. South Korea's exports rose for a third month in December, but at a slower pace as weaker demand for Korean goods in China offset robust global sales for semiconductors. Exports by Asia's fourth largest economy gained 5.1% to $57.66 billion in December, slowing from a rise of 7.7% in November. Export data out of Asia's fourth largest economy is a closely watched indicator to gauge momentum for global trade. Now, policymakers are pinning hope on recovering exports for an estimated 2.1% of economic expansion in 2024, as high borrowing costs and sticky inflation keeps customers spending sluggish. Singapore's economy grew 1.2% in 2023 to avoid a recession. Now, this is according to Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong. However, he pointed out challenges ahead as geopolitical uncertainties continue to weigh on the global economy. Next year's gross domestic product has been projected to grow by 1% to 3%, although much will depend on the external environment. Among the factors that will have an impact on the economy, Lee said that climate change will be one of the most significant. The Prime Minister also noted that while a recession was avoided this year, households were still feeling the pressure of higher cost of living.